Well, it turns out Mixtape, nobody likes this game. Or lots of people like this game and say it's game of the year. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to not have played Mixtape. I haven't played it yet. I want to get to it. And Brian Garr hasn't played it yet either. But we've just been following the internet narrative.
Yeah, I'm excited for the French kissing mini game that's apparently... Oh, wait, it involves teens. I'm not excited. No, I'm not. Gross. I didn't like it as a teen either. But yeah, so Mixtape. It's the new indie game that was supposed to be this nostalgic coming-of-age story about teens, music, and the suburbs. And it has got good reviews from critics, and people are mad about those good reviews. So yeah, we'll get into all of it.
Yeah. So all right. So Mixtape, published by Annapurna Interactive and developed by Beethoven and Dinosaur, launched last week, and it's currently sitting at an 85 on Metacritic. IGN gave it a 10, calling it, quote, a musical delight from start to finish, and saying that it, quote, sets a new standard for coming-of-age stories in video games and does so with a masterful sense of style.
GameSpot also was a big fan, gave it a 9, saying it offers a sincere, often hilarious look at growing up, set to an incredible soundtrack. And then our buddy Gene Park from the Washington Post said that playing it is like, quote, living in a John Hughes movie. And if you're not old, John Hughes directed a bunch of great 80s movies. That's what they're referencing. But yeah, and they said it definitely leans into that late 80s and 90s nostalgia.
Yeah, other outlets praise the game's emotional storytelling. This all sounds great, right? I feel like we should be reporting on the fact that Mixtape everybody loves it, and it's a great video game. Well, that's not true because it's the internet. Some people are just not happy at all. Instead of simply becoming one of those games critics just disagree on, Mixtape quickly got pulled into a broader internet slap fight.
Yeah, so it takes on various forms, so we'll try to hit the highlights. Some of the criticism centered on Annapurna Interactive's and its ties to billionaire Larry Ellison through founder Megan Ellison, which I believe is his daughter. There's talk of support of the Israeli Defense Forces, and like that got involved. It's crazy. PC Gamer's Harvey Randall noted that some players objected to financially supporting companies connected to Ellison because of his support for the IDF. So it's all over the place.
I mean, okay, all right. I hadn't heard that about Annapurna. Interesting. There are also claims the game's positive reviews were somehow manipulated or astroturfed, as well as accusations that its Australian developer Beethoven and Dinosaur was pretending to be an indie studio despite openly working with a major publisher. I saw this tweet about how Mixtape was an industry plant, Brian.
Yes. Yeah, like when like a musician just pops up out of nowhere and you're like, wait a minute. Right. And they've already sold 20 million albums. And speaking of that IGN review that we talked about earlier, that came under criticism because gamers were wondering, why did you give a perfect score to this small, 2 to 3 hour indie game that came out of nowhere? And other games, are getting sort of, I think they, like bigger games recently didn't do as well. They're like, what's up? I'm trying to think. Crimson Desert, they only gave a 6 out of 10 to. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mixtape has minimal mechanics. Some sections can be completed without the player doing much of anything. That was the video that was going around over the weekend. So reviewer Christina Tacey posted a clip of the game's protagonist running through a neighborhood, observing that she doesn't need to do anything or press anything. Tacey said, interactivity can make a mid-story better, but this game doesn't understand that because it does not want to be a game. Now, again, I've seen this so many times with games like Heavy Rain and like those sorts of games where it doesn't matter what you do in a sequence. You're sort of playing a movie a little bit.
Yeah, lots of games I feel like are like that, but they're just saying they're kind of just saying this is kind of a visual novel, and some players were wondering why such a game was getting such high scores. Reddit user Twiftoil was explaining the controversy, wrote, some people saw this and went back to some recent releases to compare, and they think it either doesn't make sense or is inconsistent. They're talking about IGN's perfect score. And they said, for example, Pragmata got an 8 out of 10 and Crimson Desert got a 6 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm not trying to defend IGN, but IGN has a bunch of different reviewers. So it's not the same person doing all of their reviews, which maybe explains why the scores are so crazy. But essentially, people just don't believe that the game was made by a scrappy little studio in Australia. and instead is the product of a giant conglomerate that is engineering all of these good reviews.
It can also be true that a little studio made it, but then they got to deal with a big publisher to distribute it, which happens a lot. Just devil's advocate here. And then, yes, there is also a kissing minigame where two teens kiss and you find yourself manipulating both of their tongues as they slobber all over each other in the teen way.
Weird. One YouTuber, Smash JT, called the game a sickening makeout simulator. Oh man, the controversy is kind of a culture war throwback to the whole Cuties movie brawl in 2020, where lots of people thought that the Netflix movie about dancing 11-year-olds sexualized children.
Yeah, and they like pulled it. Yeah, and then, we all remember last year, Assassin's Creed Shadows. There was the big fight over historical inaccuracies that some people thought, cultural representation, the use of Yasuke, a historical black figure, as a samurai protagonist. Critics, including some in Japan, raised concerns over the portrayal of Japanese history.
All right, so back to Mixtape. Its user scores on Metacritic are currently at a 6.3, much lower than the actual critic score, which is 85. User Death the Kid 77 call it nostalgia slop, writing, quote, "It is a movie that sometimes has you press one button."
I did look. Death the Kid 77 only has one review, though, so a little bit sketchy that they just joined up to bash Mixtape. In fairness to Mixtape, the game, it isn't trying to be some giant AAA game either. Like I said earlier, it feels more sort of visual novelist-ish. Insider Gaming pointed out that the structure of the game is meant to represent like a classic mixtape. And back in the old cassette tape days that it's set in, that would be about 90 minutes. So maybe they're just trying to keep it, tight and short like a mixtape. Lots of rewinding and fast forwarding until your jam box eats the tape.
And that would reflect in the price of the video game. It's $18. So it's not 60 or 70 like most AAAs. And, maybe that's why people are liking it, because it's sort of a bite-sized, fun little indie thing that you get some good feelings from and you move on. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also checked, and its 3-day peak on Steam was about 2,200 players. So yeah, again, a small game. It's not, I think it's free on Game Pass right now, so maybe a lot of people are playing that. But yeah, this says it's not some runaway smash hit either.
Yeah, that's true. The Steam users like it. For the most part, Mixtape is currently at a very positive user rating with more than 2,000 reviews there. That's actually pretty good. User Jack wrote that they enjoyed it, called it more of an interactive novel. Jack added, "I really enjoyed playing this, but the hyperbole surrounding it is insane. This game is neither as good or as bad as it is made out to be," which is a very well put review, by the way, because I think that's, again, I haven't played the video game, but I feel like that's where the internet narrative, the lore, all this discourse is settling on for Mixtape. It's just I just don't understand why people are getting so mad about it. It literally makes no sense to go, like you said, one person, they made an account and they left only one review, and it had to be that they hated Mixtape. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Why waste your time on this?
I also think maybe we're almost into the summer. I think people are bored and they just want something to talk about. They're like, let's complain about this. But even if it is like just a visual novel, there's some very good visual novels. Doki Doki Literature Club. Gosh, what are those? The Walking Dead, those back in the day that one, it was basically just, very minimal mechanics, but still told a good story. I'm not defending it, but it's like, it's a different game than a AAA, giant Crimson Desert type thing. So I don't know if you could really judge them on the same score.
It's interesting, too, because I saw people comparing Mixtape to Dispatch. And I played through Dispatch, and Dispatch is great. Has a fantastic story. It's like 8 hours of gameplay. It's $30. And Dispatch was the same way. Like, you really didn't have to do much in that game. There were story choices you made. But I mean, you could play the mini game where you were dispatching superheroes or not. It kind of didn't matter. And for all of that, for Dispatch, people loved it. And the discourse surrounding Dispatch was that it was a fantastic video game that told a great story. Mixtape to me feels like it might be millennial nostalgia bait, and I don't know if that's necessarily where that that age group is falling in these reviews, meaning like IGN's reviewer and PC Gamer and like all those other reviews, maybe they're all falling squarely in the millennial section. I don't know how old they are. And that's why everyone is like, oh, I love Mixtape. Like, me personally, not necessarily. Like, I grew up in this era, the John Hughes era, and I am not nostalgic for that at all. So I am really looking forward to playing Mixtape because I'm like, I want to see if I actually do care about it or if I'm just sort of like, well, we'll see. Like, it's just another visual novel, and that's okay.
Yeah, mine would have just been a visual novel of me playing the NES for just hours. There would definitely not be any French kissing anyone ever. It would just be, it'd be like an exception that you're just watching me play a game, and like an infinite loop maybe. I don't know.
And I do want to say again, Lawrence is out sick. That's why Brian has joined us, and neither one of us have played Mixtape. And part of our show, Inside Games, is to actually report on what's happening with video games. We don't always get to play the games too, and that's so if you're like, these guys haven't even played it, that's why we're reporting on it, is because I get to see the discourse sort of explode over the weekend about Mixtape, and I'm like looking into this game I'd never even heard of before, seeing why people are so upset. So this kind of stuff really interests me, and that's why I like talking about it.
I'm gonna buy it and do a 5-second review and expense the $18 to Inside Games.
Yeah, you totally should. Yeah, why not? Of course.
That's right. It's coming. It's coming. I'm doing the invoice right now.
Thank you very much for watching Inside Games. If you would like to support our channel, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. That would greatly help us. If you tell your friends about what we do here, then that would also help us. And we even have a Patreon. If you really want to support us with your hard-earned cash, we have that Patreon. And Lawrence will be posting all of our content there for free. He does that every single day. He also posts fun little memes. Lawrence is a meme master. So that's the easiest way to support Inside Games. And also, maybe you could send Brian the $18, and that way he doesn't have to expense Mixtape.